Good evening and welcome again to Tara Institute. Are you able to hear me well? Yeah, okay. I can see some familiar faces from last time, but anyone here for the first time today? Welcome, welcome. So for the new visitors, I'll say a few things about the Monday night presentations. These Monday evening sessions offer a space to explore ideas from Buddhist philosophy and psychology in a way that's open, grounded in personal experience and often reflective. You don't have to be a Buddhist to benefit from these sessions. And the idea of these sessions is to be thought-provoking and practical, something that we can apply to our day-to-day lives. The Buddha said, don't accept something just because I said it. Instead, try it out, examine it, see how it holds with your inner experience. I think this is a hallmark of the Buddhist tradition, I would say. We are encouraged to engage our intelligence when we hear new ideas and to test things for ourselves. So please don't worry about agreeing with everything I say tonight. If something sparks reflection or even disagreement, that's a good sign. These ideas are not meant to be accepted passively, but to be worked upon, to be tested with your own experience. And so we'll have time at the end of this session for some discussion. So if you have any thoughts, any ideas, please let me know and we can talk about them. Even through the presentation, if you feel that that there is something that you're not clear about or you're not convinced about, just draw my attention and we can pause and we can talk about it. So in the beginning of this session, I recited a verse, a short verse. It's a traditional way to start Buddhist teachings or meditation sessions. And the purpose of this, reciting this verse is to bring to mind clearly as to why we are here. And to connect with some meaningful motivation for what we are doing. So if we pause and reflect, everything we do starts with an intention. It's easy to overlook, but it shapes everything. It not only shapes what we do, but how we do it, and most importantly, how it impacts our inner environment, our complete experience of the act itself. In Buddhism, it is likened to a seed from which everything grows, the starting point, so to say. So it shapes not only our behavior, but our entire mental experience. So I would invite you to take a quiet moment and set our motivation for this session tonight. If you are comfortable, you can close your eyes and ask yourself, what brought you here today? And what do you hope to take from this time together? And perhaps that intention could include something just beyond personal benefit. Can we set a motivation to learn and grow so that we can become a more positive presence in lives of others as well? Let's hold that in our minds for a moment. Thank you. As I said last time, this is not just a background thought. It's very important because setting our mind, being clear about what we are trying to achieve, aligns everything that we do to the result that we want. It gets everything that we do or think or how we experience will get aligned to what is the motivation that we have generated just now for the next hour or so. So I'll start with talking about what we discussed, just recapping what we discussed last time. So the topic for this month is integrating meditation with life. And we started by asking an important question: why does it matter? Why meditate at all? So, at the core of everything we do, in our jobs, our relationships, there's a universal motivation. We just want to be happy, and we want to be free of suffering. And that's not a problem in itself. It's completely natural. The problem lies in how we try to find happiness. So many of us think that the feeling of temporary pleasure or satisfaction, once we satisfy our desire, is happiness. We relate that to happiness. We want to have a good weekend, we have a good weekend, we are happy. We want a promotion, we get a promotion, we are happy. We want a good relationship, we get a good relationship, we are happy. But we have had millions of desires throughout our life. Some simple ones like food and comfort, and some big ones. And so many of them have been fulfilled. Yet, can any of us say that we have achieved happiness? That we have this stable, consistent, unchanging happiness in our minds? If we check, we can see our minds are still up and down all the time. Over the course of a year, a month, a day, an hour, with so many different moods. We oscillate between so many different states of mind. Some are positive, some are negative. Sometimes it seems that they are controlled by external circumstances. He said that to me, so of course I'm angry. Or else, at some time I could just be having a cup of coffee and my mind will go to an excursion of disturbing thoughts, and for no good reason, from a very happy state of mind, I could become very restless. So Buddhism has a word for this kind of mind, which is called dukkha. I talked about it last time. A feeling of dissatisfaction or a feeling of restlessness. A mind that's always leaning into the future, resisting the present, or wanting things to be different than they are. That's the constant theme of dukkha, the constant theme of restlessness. Buddhism tells us that in our pursuit of desire, we miss the key to happiness, which is our mind. All the experience of our life, everything that we experience, happiness, sadness, everything is mediated by the mind. Everything arises in the mind. So if our mind is happy, then we will be happy. And if your mind is unhappy, we are suffering. And this mind is a creature of habit. Most of the time we build bad habits. And when I say bad habits, we sit in emotions or feelings that are not happy feelings. Feelings of anger, feelings of jealousy, craving. And in Buddhism, these are referred to as afflictive states of mind. Afflictive because literally they afflict us, they hurt us. So whenever such a mind arises, we do not feel good. It is something that we can really relate to. Yet these afflictive states of mind are not of the innate nature of the mind. They arise, because of some causes and conditions, and they subside. It is not that once anger has arisen, it is always there. It subsides, and something else happens. So we can see that these things are arising and then subsiding. So why is that happening? So there must be a cause for that to happen. So we have the ability to recognize these things and then recognize that there is a cause from which these things are arising. And if we identify and remove those causes, then these afflictive states of mind may not arise, and we'll be left with a deep and stable happiness that's lasting. And it's not easily moved by external circumstances, like at this time our mind is moved like a leaf by the wind. We seem to have no control over it. So in the pursuit of this happiness that we seek, that motivates everything that we do, we have developed so many tools and methods, ways of getting the external world to bend to what we want, or what we think will make us happy. But so many of us have no tool to work with the thing that really affects our happiness, our mind. And meditation is that tool, which works directly with your mind. So, we defined meditation last time as a process of an inward journey, where we first observe what's happening in our mind, the good things and the bad things, things that are making us feel happy and the things that are making us feel upset or restless. We observe those patterns of our mind. And when we start doing that, we feel that we come to realize that the mind is generally uncontrolled. We don't seem to have a control over it. And the negative states of mind arise more often. And then we try and investigate and recognize the causes. Why are these states arising? And then with that, in that process, we find the reasons, the major reasons defined as attachment, aversion, and ignorance, which cause these afflictive states of mind to arise. And finally, we have the ability to transform. We have the ability to transform what states of mind, that, as I said, mind is a creature of habit. So it can be trained. It can be trained to have happy states of mind, and we can remove. So this process of transformation is possible. So we also talked about the different ways of meditating, both within and outside Buddhism. And meditation could definitely be a secular practice. It doesn't have to be a Buddhist practice or any religious practice at all. In Buddhism, meditation is grouped into two different broad categories. The first is the stabilizing meditations, and the other is the analytical meditations. Stabilizing meditations are practices where we develop concentration, the ability to focus our mind on an object that we choose. And in analytical meditations, what we do is, they're called the vipassana meditations, if you have heard that word. It's trying to investigate and reflect on phenomena. The two things I said, when you say recognize the causes and then transform the mind. That part comes from the analytical meditation, where you actually analyze what's happening in a meditation session and try to gain deeper realizations. So today we will focus on discussing more about stabilizing meditations. So I would like to start with the same stabilization meditation we did last week. So I will just go through the steps, because I think there are some new people here as well. But a lot of you who have heard me before, it's a repetition, but I'll guide you through the first meditation. So I introduced a 5-point structure for meditation last week, which is posture, how do we sit in meditation. The second was how do we relaxation. We allow our body and mind to settle before we start meditation. And the third, most important thing is motivation. Why are we meditating? Bringing to mind the reason, the intention for our practice. Then there is the actual meditation session. And finally, we dedicate any benefit that has been, that we have generated to our, any positive energy that has come through to our initial motivation for the session. So, let's start getting comfortable into our posture. As I mentioned last time, posture is important because body and mind are so closely connected. If we are feeling unwell, the body is feeling unwell, the mind is not happy. And vice versa. When the mind is unhappy, the body feels very sluggish. So there is a very strong connection between these two, and therefore posture is quite important. So I introduced the 7-point meditation posture last week. So the aim here is, you don't have to get it perfect. The aim is to get some balance and stability, but not discomfort. So we have to, adjust whatever doesn't suit our body today. So if you are seated on the floor, you can cross your legs, which is having, just crossed legs or half lotus position. Or if someone is very good at yoga, he could do a full lotus. It helps to raise your, hips slightly by putting a cushion under your hips. So you get a 3-point support of the body and less strain on the back. And if you're sitting on a chair, then that's fine too. But you can, keep your feet firmly on the ground. Sense of being about hip width, firmly on the ground, and keep your back straight, if that's possible. With the hands, we generally keep the hands in our lap, with the right resting on the left, and we form an oval or a triangle with our thumbs. That's the recommended practice. But if that doesn't work for you, you can keep your hands on your knees or your thighs, just where they're relaxed and supported. Back, our spine is most important. We have to let the spine rise up naturally, but make it upright but not stiff. It's said that you imagine it like a stack of coins, maintaining its natural shape, but keeping the posture straight. If we are slouching, then obviously we get dullness and we are not able to breathe properly. Important to hold in longer meditation sessions. And with the head, it is recommended that you gently tuck your chin a little, lengthening the back of your neck, not too forward and not too raised. So in a comfortable position, let it find a position of balance. It's recommended to keep your eyes half open, letting with a relaxed gaze towards the floor in front of you. Not staring, but just letting the eyes rest. And if closing eyes works better for you, that's fine too. Just need to be aware that it can sometimes cause drowsiness. Keep your jaws soft, teeth slightly apart. The tongue can rest gently on the roof of your mouth. And your lips are gently closed with no tension. Now relax your shoulders, letting them drop away from the ears, let them settle down. Keep a little space under the arms, as if you're holding something between your arm and upper body. So this opens up the chest and allows you to breathe properly through the meditation. Now that we have the posture, we turn to the second point, that's relaxation. The second support for settling the mind. Last time we did a body scan, full body scan, takes much longer, very useful, but I'll try a different technique today, introduce a different technique today which can be done rather quickly. So, take a few slow, deep breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. With each breath, allow your body to begin to relax. Let go of any tension that you're holding. Now, recall a familiar feeling. Think of a time after a strenuous activity. Maybe a jog, a hike, or a few hours in the garden. You finally stop, sink in your couch, and everything in your body seems to say, ah, the deep, effortless unwinding. Muscles relaxing, the breath settling, and the mind beginning to quiet. Let your body remember that experience now. Let the shoulders drop, the jaw loosen, let the hands grow heavy. Let the face soften. Invite the body to rest, as if nothing more needs to be done in this moment. Breathe in with awareness and breathe out, releasing into a sense of ease and presence. It's time to set our motivation. You might join me in generating this wish. May this meditation help me become more present and aware. May I discover a deep and genuine peace within myself. And may this peace ripple outward, bringing benefit to others. The object of our meditation today is our own breath. Lightly place your attention on the breath. Notice where the breath feels most vivid for you. This might be the nostrils, the chest, or the abdomen. Pick one area and rest your attention there. You can use a simple mental note. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. This is an in-breath, this is an out-breath. Very simple, very easy. What is recognizing our breath is our mind. And the object of our mindfulness is our breath. There is no need to control or modify your breathing. The key is to observe and not to interfere. When you notice that the mind has drifted, simply acknowledge it and return it again to the breath without judgment. This act of returning again and again is the core of this training. Very gently, bring your mind back to the room. As we conclude, let's dedicate any positive energy generated during this practice. Let's reflect whatever benefit or insight I have gained. May it continue in my effort to find happiness within myself, and may it support the happiness and well-being of all beings. Thank you. So how did that feel? Yeah, that's right. So, so the breath is the anchor that you return to every single time. Mind does drift because it is habituated to drift. So we just gently get it back every time. Remember to get it back every time. So chances are, like if you're like most people, the moment you want to sit quietly, mind goes into an overdrive. Thoughts start flying in from all directions. Shopping lists, deadlines, commitments. Even that one awkward thing that you may have said 5 years ago. Everything just comes to mind. And this can, this is what they call welcome to the monkey mind. It can feel a bit overwhelming, sometimes even disheartening, but it's actually quite a good sign. The problem is that we are not used to observing the mind itself. And when we do that, we feel that, it's quite confusing and even alarming. Mind has always been busy. It's just that we are not paying close attention to it. In our daily life, it's masked by distractions. Either we are doing some task which is focused on the task, or we zone out on our phones. When we are working, we manage this monkey by forcing, temporarily forcing focus on our minds. But when we sit quietly, the monkey takes over, because you're not managing it anymore. It can feel a bit frustrating when you're trying to meditate, but becoming aware of the monkey mind is the first step in the right direction in our journey of meditation. Meditation is not about shutting down our thoughts or becoming a blank slate. The mind, thinks. That's what it does, like lungs breathe. That's its job. The goal isn't to stop thinking, but to change how we relate with our thoughts. Instead of chasing every thought and getting annoyed, we learn to watch. We become the observer. And that's where the anchor comes in. It lets you observe the activity of your mind. We notice the monkey mind jumping from one branch to the other, but we don't have to follow it. And we certainly do not have to fight it. Because if we meet it with frustration, we just feed it more energy. Instead, we can gently give it a task. Here, monkey, watch the breath. Over time, the mind learns to settle. Not through force, but through gentle, consistent training. So, I mentioned earlier, even last time and today, that this exercise of gently focusing on the object of our choosing is stabilizing meditation. That is the definition of stabilizing meditation. So through this practice, when we are very adept at it, we reach a stage which is known as a stage of calm abiding, which means we develop the ability to focus our mind on an object of our choosing for as long as we want. And at the same time experiencing bliss, clarity and peace. So when calm abiding is fully achieved, the meditator experiences first physical pliancy, a great sense of bliss, a light, comfortable, serviceable body for practice. And mental pliance, the mind feels very joyful, supple, and capable of turning towards meditation without any strain. Meditation becomes effortless. And this calm abiding is not something, practice is not unique only to Buddhism. Many other spiritual traditions have this as an essential skill for deepening our spiritual practice. So the core of stabilization meditation is to focus on an object and gently bring your mind back whenever it wanders. Sounds very simple, but it's not very easy to do in practice. Not very easy to do at all. So I just wanted to go through some theory of meditation with the view that it can help us understand and improve our own experience of meditation in our journey. So we start with the object. What is the object of meditation? What do we focus upon in stabilizing meditations? So among many objects recommended by Buddha, the breath stands out as the easiest and most accessible. We are always breathing. We are always familiar that we are always breathing as long as we are alive. We may not be aware of it, but the breath is always present, as always accessible as an object of meditation. Another option is a mental image. For example, the image of the Buddha or any other spiritual figure that inspires you. And the benefit of that, it becomes very powerful if you can develop feeling of peace or devotion or clarity by using a visual object. The key to choose an object is pick something that resonates with you. But once you've picked something, stick with it. Because if you keep changing the objects, then the concentration will not have, will not have the time to develop the concentration. It's like, again, the planting the seed. You have to water at the same place for something to grow consistently. So once you decide that this is how I'm going to meditate, just stick with it for at least for some time, till the practice has taken roots. So once you choose an object to meditation, the first thing is to get familiar with it. You should know you should be completely familiar with that object. With breath, it's relatively easy. We can feel the breath in our nostrils, in our chest or our abdomen. Wherever we select one place where it feels most vivid, and then stick with it. Just use that as the anchor for your meditation. If you're working with the visual object, like the image of the Buddha, then it helps first to spend some time studying it, observing the features, the posture, the expression. And then when you sit to meditate, you bring that image to mind as clearly as you can. So you're never meditating on an external object, you're meditating on a mental object. So you're just recalling that figure in your mind and holding it in your mind. So over time, with the repetition, the image becomes easier to hold. It's like remembering a familiar face. You see someone again and again, and then you can recognize them very easily. And there are also recommendations as to how to place the visual object. You can place it at the level of your forehead or at the level of your heart. It is recommended that you visualize the object as the small size of a thumb to start with. And it's about a full body length away from you. You picture it as radiant and light, but somehow also stable and steady. So these, details give your mind something clear and steady to return to in meditation, as your anchor in meditation. I will again focus on consistency. If you use Buddha's image, it has to be consistent from session to session. You shouldn't change the color, size, or position of the Buddha. You found a new image, you liked it, so you just shift on. It doesn't help, because if you looked at an image and you imagined it kept changing all the time, then it's very difficult to concentrate. It will be very hard to concentrate on that. So once you pick an image or a visual object, or breath, or whatever you pick, stick with it till the practice takes root. And then let's talk a little about what's happening in the mind when we are meditating. So there are two mental tools which are important in this stabilization and concentration practice. One is called mindfulness, the other is called alertness. So mindfulness is something that helps us to remember the object, our anchor, and to stay with it. That's the function of mindfulness. Whenever our attention drifts, the mindfulness gently brings it back to the object of meditation. The second factor that we use is alertness. It's like a quiet observer in the background. It checks. It checks if we have drifted. And if we have, it kind of brings us back to, it just tells the mindfulness to bring it back to the object. So they work together. It's like if you had sheep to tend for in a pasture. So one is a shepherd and the other is a watchdog. So together they work to make the mind more present and stable. In the ancient Buddhist texts, I'm not sure whether it's just Buddhist texts, but maybe others as well. They use an analogy of taming a wild elephant. So the mind is often compared to a wild elephant, which is strong, restless, and very difficult to control. So when we try and meditate even for a short time, we realize that, we know this firsthand, how difficult it is to control the mind, and how restless and how strong it is. So much of energy that it can generate. So just like, if you had to tame a wild elephant, it takes practice, patience, discipline, and constant attention. So in this analogy, I'll just go through this analogy with you. So think of your mind as a wild elephant. So to tame it, you have to tie it to a post. So the wild elephant represents the untamed mind. The trainer is us, the meditator, doing the work of training. The post that we tie the elephant to is the object of meditation, like the breath or the image of the Buddha or any other image that we take. That's the post. And the rope to tie the elephant is mindfulness, the ability to bring back the mind again and again towards the post, towards the anchor. And they use a hook to train the elephant, a sharp hook. That's alertness, introspective awareness. Part of the mind that notices, that we are wanted. So that's the analogy. So at first, when we start meditating, the elephant doesn't want to be tied. It pulls at the rope, it goes around in circles, it resists all the efforts of the trainer. Similarly, our mind resists stillness. But over time, with patience, repetition, and gentle discipline, the elephant begins to settle, and so does the mind. Mindfulness is what keeps us gently connected to the meditation object, like this rope with some slack, always guiding us back to this object. And alertness is this quick reflex which catches when you are drifted, when you have drifted a bit, and it's like giving a little tap with a hook, on the elephant's head to bring it back. So eventually, with consistent training, the wild elephant can become calm and responsive. And similarly, our mind can become more stable, more focused, and less reactive. When I say less reactive, I mean that you're no longer dragged by every thought or emotion, and you have more inner freedom. You have more agency. You're not as helpless. But the key here is that the goal isn't to force the elephant into submission. It's to build a steady, respectful relationship. So we don't fight our mind. We train it very patiently. And through training, what appears untamable can become a very, very powerful ally. So this is the process of, gradual process of transformation, of meditation. How we gradually, slowly, no quick fixes here, transform the mind, make it more serviceable. So how do we know whether our meditation is going well or not? So there are two goals, key qualities that which we aim for in our meditation, and one is clarity, and the other is stability. So clarity is about how vividly or sharply the mind apprehends the object of meditation. It's how clearly the mind grasps to this object of our meditation. It is not about the clarity of the object. So if you look at, if you imagine a television screen and that you think about a picture on that, if the picture is grainy or fuzzy, that's the object not being clear. But if the picture is perfect, yet your mind perceives it as unfocused, it's to do with the energy of the mind, not the object. How it engages with the object. The other is stability. So it is the ability of the mind to focus single-pointedly on the object without wavering. And this is something that you can relate to. If you can imagine something, being absorbed in something that's so fully captivating. You like it so much that everything else fades into the background. That attention on the object of meditation is stability. So, when stability is present in meditation, time seems to fly by. What seems like minutes could have been an hour. And when stability is absent, you're always watching the clock when it's going to be over. So, this ability to eventually, for the object and mind to become one, is something that we aim with stability. These qualities take a long time to develop. So, initially, it's very normal not to have any clarity or any stability at all. But knowing about these things, we know how we are progressing in our journey of meditation. But what we definitely know at very start is the obstacles. So what's stopping us becoming these perfect meditators? Two things: excitement and mental thinking. So what is excitement? Excitement is something that pulls the mind outwards. It has got an aspect of attachment to something that we are attached to. So we are leaving the object of meditation and going somewhere else. So the aspect of attachment to something. That's excitement. And the mental thinking deprives the mind of clarity. It's like a sluggish, dull mind. So the two qualities we talked about. So stability, it is disturbed by excitement. The opposite of stability is excitement. The opposite of clarity is dullness, sluggishness. So, if you talk about excitement, to understand excitement, if you're meditating on the breath, and all of a sudden your mind jumps to memory of an enjoyable experience, for example, the concert you saw or something, and your mind goes into that narrative, and the object of meditation is forgotten, and then you go from one thought to the other, and so on and so forth. So what has led your mind out is attachment, either to an object or to an experience. And the function of this excitement is losing our concentration. So if you use the elephant analogy, it is like, the elephant is so overwhelmed by some, attraction to some pleasant experience that it starts running in all directions. It might start chasing other animals or sniffing trees or whatever. And we can recognize this very early on in our practice. So whenever you lose your object of meditation, whenever you lose your anchor, excitement has arisen. It's very easy at this time, that, okay, I lost this, so what happened? So something has taken my mind, something that I'm attached to has taken the mind away from the object. So how do we overcome this excitement? Mindfulness, the first tool that we talked about. So it's like this elephant trainer using the rope to bring back the elephant gently back to the post again and again. Similarly, we use mindfulness to very gently. We don't have to be harsh or critical when this happens, because that in itself becomes an obstacle to meditation. So very gently, understanding that this is what the mind does, very gently bring it back. So that's the tool of mindfulness, which helps counteract the excitement or the attachment, that the mind of excitement. The other obstacle is the dull mind, sinking. The feeling is the other end of spectrum. Not excited but sluggish. Instead of being wildly distracted by external stimuli, the mind feels foggy, less engaged, heavy. sleepy. So in the elephant analogy, you can think of that the elephant is becoming tired. He is lying down. He is not engaging with the surroundings anymore. It's still there, but it's not fully involved. It has given up the energy to engage with the objects. So this energy is a function of mind. So when this arises in meditation, that we still have the connect with the object of our meditation, but it is not clear enough. It is not vivid. It's not appearing vividly to our mind. So what do we do? So what we do is maybe the first thing is to adjust our posture, get some more energy. For me, what works is think about something that inspires me, so to create the energy of the mind, to re-energize the mind and refocus on the object. So something that lifts your mind, something that gives you the energy again to engage with the object of meditation. So when we sit down to meditate, we have to find a balance between these two opposing obstacles: excitement and dullness. The excitement is when the mind is jumping from one thought to another, a very active, overactive, a mind in overdrive. And thinking is the opposite, dull and sleepy mind. So if our focus on the object of our meditation is loose, it's too loose, we are not holding it with energy, we lose clarity. Mind becomes foggy and eventually we fall asleep in our meditation session. But if our focus on the object is too tight, we're trying too hard, then we trigger excitement. Mind becomes too tight and it goes towards excitement, becomes overactive. So what we are aiming for in meditation is the middle zone. Mind is relaxed but alert, clear but calm, not too tight and not too loose. A helpful way to understand this is the image of tuning a guitar. If the string is too tight, it will snap, and if it's too loose, it won't produce any sound at all. So it has to be the right middle way for it to be, for it to play some beautiful music. So we have to think about this when we meditate. If we're trying too hard, we are creating tension and restlessness, something that I've struggled with a lot, to create that restlessness and tension because you're not able to meditate. So that itself becomes an obstacle. But if you're not trying hard enough, then the mind is, is gone to sleep. Or even if it's not gone to sleep, it's not clear, it is not vivid. So you just find the right balance of effort and ease, and it's not same for everyone. The more we practice, the more we get familiar with what's just right for us. So eventually, every time you practice, you kind of reflect on how did I go, whether I was too excited or was too dull, and how do I adjust this? And I think your own practice can guide you through these steps. Now that we have talked so much about theory, I would invite you to do a very small, very short 5-minute meditation together. I will not go, every meditation, I have explained those points, that structure, so I will not talk about the posture or relaxation or motivation. I'll let you do that yourself. You just straight settle down and why I wanted to do this now is that whilst this is fresh in your mind, maybe you can recognize some of these factors and see how this theory relates to your own experience. So let's settle down. We'll use our breath as the pole, the object of our meditation. Lightly place your attention on your breath. Notice if your mind has drifted. Bring it gently back to the breath. Thank you. I think time is almost up. That's enough for this evening, I think. So, the first 2 weeks of this month we are focused on stabilizing meditations. Next Monday I hope to talk about the analytical meditation. Start talking about that. Are there any questions, observations, anything that comes to mind?
How long would you recommend if you just start meditation to meditate for?
It's recommended that the sessions, when we start, the sessions should be very short. So our teacher here, Venerable Geshe Doga, he often says that think about it as when you're having a party with your friends. And if you part, when you're happy, you want to come back again and meet them. So keep them short so that you have this desire to come back to meditation. So more short sessions, maybe 2 minutes, if that's what you are comfortable holding. And it will increase as you practice more and more. But initially there's no point sitting there and not meditating. It's 2 short sessions but more frequent sessions. All right, okay. There's some coffee and cake in the dining room. I'll be around if you want to talk about something. I've kept some forms there. If you have some ideas, some thoughts, some questions, you can write them down. If I have the answers, I will discuss in the next session. Or if I don't note the answers, I'll take them to our teachers here and get you the answers. Good night.